Do you ever feel afraid of getting stuck in another dimension when you're having your out-of-body experience and you're wandering around the spirit realm and then you think to yourself, well, what if I get lost? I can't find my way back to my body. Or you find your way back to your body and then you don't know how to get your spirit back inside of your physical body. Does that ever cross your mind? I know some people have that fear, and that's one of the reasons why they don't want to have the out-of-body experience. It's like, how do I get back? What if I get stuck? What if time passes and I come back and it's like years have passed? Or what if I get stuck and it leads to a premature death in this reality? You're not ready to die, but you think to yourself, well, if your spirit can't get back into your body, that's death in this reality. Or just simply, you don't know how to navigate these other worlds, these other realms, these other dimensions. So there's no way for you to even know how to find your way back. You ever think about those things? Well, please don't worry and relax. Rest assured that you will come back. You won't get lost, because having out-of-body trips are like having a round-trip ticket. It's not a one-way thing at all. You are coming back. So let's talk about that. Welcome to the Mystical Recall Podcast. I'm Vernita, and on this episode, we're going to talk about letting go of fear of not being able to come back into your body because OBEs are round trips. So there's several points I want to make here, but let's start with dreaming. When you have a dream, you are in an altered state of consciousness. And while you're in that dream, you think it's real. You have no idea that there is a body to come back to. You are immersed in this dream. Of course, unless you're having a lucid dream, but that's a whole other thing we'll talk about at another time. But your regular dream that you have either every night, every other night, or every week. Some people don't remember their dreams. But the thing about it is, do you ever worry that you're not coming back? The answer is no. And that's because we've been dreaming since we were children. It's something that we're accustomed to. Yet, it's the same type of situation where you're in a completely different world, but you always come back every single time. Your out-of-body experiences are just like that. Outside of this regular dreaming that you're having, that you're aware of, your etheric body is always leaving your body, always. And there's different aspects of you, like we talked about before, that's having different experiences all the time. You're just not aware of it. The difference between not having an out-of-body experience and having an out-of-body experience is awareness. Because you're always this etheric body, that body that looks like a double or a transparent version of the body that you have right now when you look in the mirror. That body is always traveling, all the time, always. You're just not aware. So now that you're aware, you can just sit back and enjoy the ride the same way you would with a dream, because you will come back. And many times what's going to happen is you're going to feel that pull back into your body. A lot of times I'm in other realities and I'm having a conversation with a spirit guide or someone else, and I'm feeling the pull back into my body, and I'm like, I don't want to go, but I go. I always come back. And then if there's a situation where I want to go back to that same location I just left, I can. And sometimes your spirit guides and other friends and other realities can help pull you back to where you just were. And I'll talk about that in another episode. But for now, know that you will come back. You don't always feel that pull. And sometimes when you come back into your body, you can feel yourself lining up with your physical body. That doesn't happen all the time either, but you will come back. I want you to please get into your head that you have these experiences all the time. We all do. Everybody does. You just have an awakened pineal gland that's allowing you to become aware of the experience. So now you can be consciously aware of the realities that your etheric body and your consciousness is going into while it's happening. So now let's talk about the pineal gland for a minute. It's also known as the third eye. I personally like to call it the first eye because it is the eye that can see all. It's not like these two eyes here, because these two eyes here, there's a lot that it can't see. It's not always crystal clear, such as, I'm wearing glasses right now, and then at other times I wear contacts. It needs to be corrected, but your first eye is represented in the middle of the forehead. You see people when they talk about the third eye chakra, that's right here. And again, I like to call it the first eye, but that's not technically where it is. The representation of it is in the middle of the forehead, but it's actually further back, your pineal gland, in the center, slightly off-centered in the middle of your brain, okay? That is active, that is open, wide open. That eye is wide open, and now you can see crystal clear without these two eyes seeing anything. You can see everything with that eye. Now, your third eye or first eye is also called the eye of Ra, eye of Horus. Some people call it the devil's eye or evil eye and all that. And those are the people who don't understand what they're looking at. This is something I really want you to understand. That eye literally is the center of your brain. The one that they show, that's the eye of Ra and the eye of Horus going back, way back, or people think, oh, the devil, the eye of the devil and all of that. No. If you look at a picture of the center of your brain, if you slice the brain in half, you got the left and right hemisphere, and you look at it, you will see the corpus callosum right there. That's the top part. And you'll see that middle part in there. That's the thalamus. And then you'll see a part that's the what do they call it? Medulla oblongata. That is like the brain stem and the spinal cord coming together. You'll see that part. And you'll see the hypothalamus. That ancient picture that we've all seen from like ancient Kemet. And people want to say that that's evil. No, our ancestors already knew about the parts of the brain before modern medicine. They were already cutting up stuff. They were already what we call biology today. They were doing that back then. They were doing a lot more than that. The point is, they already knew what was in the center of the brain. They knew about the pineal gland, and they knew about that area that literally looks like an eye. So the pineal gland itself does not look like an eye. That looks like a little pine cone, little baby thing. But the pictures that are depicted as the third eye literally looks like an eye, and the eyeball is the thalamus. But the actual opened eye that people talk about when they talk about the third eye is really the pineal gland. Your pineal gland is literally like an antenna that's receiving information from all realms, all dimensions, all realities when it's activated. When it's just lying dormant, yes, it's producing melatonin and serotonin. That's what we learn about if you read up about it. But it can produce some very powerful substances that you become aware of when it's activated. And yours have become activated on its own some kind of way. You've triggered it. It's on. So you're receiving information from multiple realities, multiple dimensions, multiple realms, because your pineal gland is that antenna. Now that information is coming into the pineal gland and is literally acting as what they call a transducer, changing from one form to another. That information that's coming through mixed with the substances that the pineal gland is producing, and also the thalamus, the hypothalamus, and everything else that's assisting the pineal gland, all of that is working together to allow for you to have experiences that you're aware of in the same way that a TV antenna receives information that's like in wave form. And for us to process it, we now see a picture. So it's taking the information that's all around us in wave form and energy, and it's now transduced it into picture that we can see. Our cell phones do the same thing. Radios do the same thing. So we actually have our own internal antenna, the pineal gland, that's taking all the information from multiple dimensions and transforming it using the melatonin that's produced within the pineal gland, as well as all the other center of the brain parts, to create all of the various different ways in which we can experience reality. So we get to see pictures, like with a TV. We get to hear the sounds, like with radio. We get to see so many different things and experience different realities, like literally being there, because the energy that was received is now allowing for us to have our awareness of being an integrated part of all of this. It's all science. It's all science. So people who keep talking about evil this and evil that, if you think that's evil, then watching TV is evil. Using your cell phone is evil. Listening to the radio is evil. It's all science. All of those external things that we use today, those electronics that we use, is mimicking what the center of our brain naturally does. And our ancient ancestors already knew all of this. And the powers that be, those who run this system today, they didn't want us to know this. So they want everybody to think that that's evil, because they want us to stay away from it so they can use it for themselves, the information for themselves, and control all of us. That's what's happening. That's what's going on. That's why you don't hear about the truth about the pineal gland, the truth about the center of your brain. You just hear some basic functions, biological functions that it does with the rest of our body and all that. You don't hear about this otherworldly stuff because it's part of how you can have control over your own reality. And you can create your own reality. As you hear people say that all the time, it's because of what's going on in the center of the brain. Becoming aware of the other aspects of self, becoming aware of how powerful you are. Your pineal gland naturally produces DMT and other hallucinogenic substances. So it doesn't make any sense to be buying some drugs off of somebody in the streets or going somewhere else to go get something from someone else that's probably laced with who knows what that's going to blow your mind, blow your circuits, literally. These type of people are the ones who get stuck in other realities, the ones who go and buy stuff externally because their brains aren't processing all that external stuff. This stuff that's mixed with other things, the dosages may be too much for you. It's not naturally produced. So it's not mixing with the other components of your brain that allows for you to get the right amounts that's right for you. So what happens? People OD. Or they get stuck in other realms and can't find their way back to their body, something you don't have to worry about because you're naturally experiencing these things. So again, don't add to that by blowing your brain with these external stuff. You don't need it. It's naturally happening for you. Some of these people also, when they're taking this external stuff, it leads to them having mental health issues because it's too much. So they may not overdose. They may not, check out of here, but it does something. It just is screwing things up in the middle of their brain. And they don't even realize it because they're getting high all the time, getting into these altered states. They're experiencing what you're experiencing, except it's not happening naturally. And then they're taking too much of this stuff. It's interfering with certain things. And next thing you know, they've blown so many circuits that they can't get up out of that consciousness and come back into this world. And now they have some mental health issue. They're being diagnosed with some disorder. And it's not even a misdiagnosis. It's for real now because of what they were taking externally that they really did not need. Another thing, if you're highly melanated, if you're a melanin dominant person, in other words, if you're Black, you have high amounts of melanin within you. You got to be very careful about these external things because melanin absorbs, okay? Melanin is like all the frequencies combined absorbing into itself, blackness, darkness. It absorbs very quickly, very easily, and very efficiently. It's going to absorb these things and use it in a way in which someone who doesn't have as much melanin is not going to affect them as much. That's another thing so that's another thing. We have to think about this now. Let's say you, as a melanin dominant individual, go somewhere with someone who doesn't have as much melanin as you. Y'all are friends. You go somewhere. You want to have this experience. And whoever's giving you the substances give you the same amount as the person who doesn't have as much melanin. Your friend is cool. Everything is all great. But with you start having some problems, some issues. Why is that? Because you have more melanin. So that substance is going to be even more powerful within you because you already have a substance within you on a high level, the melanin, that's going to take that stuff and it's going to be times 10, times 100 compared to your friend that doesn't have as much melanin within them. And the type of melanin as well, you have a different type of melanin than they do. These are the things that need to be considered when you're taking substances. All of these substances, because even the substances that they prescribe to you at the doctor or at the hospital, whatever, those substances also do things within the center of the brain. So you got to consider all of this, please. People go down to South America with these shamans, for an example. This is a whole other thing. But I want to get into this because you can't trust everybody. People are, back in the day, you can trust the shamans, you can trust the medicine woman, you can trust all these folks. These days, you got people that are out there trying to manipulate you just as bad as the folks that are out there that run this world. Some of these people, they have their own agenda. You don't know what their agenda is. They do these rituals and all these things. You don't know what they're doing to your mind when they do the rituals. And then they give you the substances. Their energy is on that. If their energy is not pure, if they're not about love, anything can happen to you. Who knows what? An entity can be attached to your aura that you don't even know about. You start having all kind of experiences like, well, I was told that, psychedelics can help me with this and help me with that. Yeah, it can, but you got to go to the right folks. But my thing is, why even do that when you can naturally, you already have that within your pineal gland in the center of your brain naturally producing this stuff. And then as far as your spinal cord is concerned, you have energy that's going up the spine into the center of the brain. And all that stuff that's mixing. You hear about people having Kundalini experiences and stuff like that, which I've had before too. This is why many people who understand how natural all of this is and then understand the body, the center of the brain, and the back of the spine, they focus a lot on the breath because their breath can trigger this willfully. You see, can trigger all the things that go on in the center of the brain willfully. It's also why chiropractors are very important. They deal with the spine. Some of the chiropractors don't even realize how powerful what they're doing is. They're taught very practically in this third dimensional reality how to do various different things with the spine, but there's things that they can do to release certain information, etheric information that's going up and down the spine that gets released in the center of the brain, and you have a reaction and your center of the brain gets lit up from something that they did. And I'm saying lit up in a great way. Okay? But it's so very powerful. I want you to understand the power that you have within yourself, within your own body, where you don't need to rely on external anything. All of this is natural. You don't need to trigger it with somebody out in the jungle somewhere that you don't know what they're about, what their agenda is. Some of these shamans are misusing their power. So you have to have discernment in knowing who's truly for you and for humanity and who's the real deal versus who's not and is just out there just hustling folks. I'm not hating on the external stuff. If you want to go that route, but do your due diligence when it comes to finding the people who's going to provide you with whatever. They're going to provide you with the shrooms, the peyote, the what do they call that other stuff? Ayahuasca, or just simply some weed. Listen, let me tell you about weed. And anyone who's an expert in melanin, who I'm not, this is what I got from the experts. They will tell you, do not smoke weed. If you're going to consume it, don't smoke it because the heat changes the molecular structure of it and it can mess you up. It can do things within the center of your brain and jack everything up. Okay? Now, of course, the experts didn't say it like that, but I'm just saying you can do some research on your own with that. You don't need to keep doing what all these other folks are doing in order to get into an altered state of consciousness, because that's what folks are doing. They just want to relax. They want to get away from this world and just get into an altered state and just get high. You can get high on your own breath. If you willfully want to get high on your own breath. Practice getting into the hypnagogic and hypnopompic state, the half sleep state at night, so that you can have and escape this reality. There's just so much that you can do internally where you don't have to rely on external things. The question is, are you going to take the time out to do the internal work? Or are you somebody who you don't want to do the work? So let me just go buy these shrooms. Let me just go buy this weed. Let me go buy this and DMT or whatever. Let me go down to Central South America, wherever, and go in the jungle and talk to the shamans and get them to do the rituals and all these other kind of things. These days, there's so many people that don't treat what I'm talking about as sacred anymore. They're just doing things to further their agenda. And one of the agendas that some people have is they want to control you. They want to use your energy for whatever their agenda is. So what they'll do is they'll plant seeds of influence in your mind. They put their energy on what you're consuming, and they purposely treat you like you're a neuron within their own brain. I know someone who did this. I used to be a part of some things back in the day. I didn't know any better. But when I saw what this individual was doing, I got out. This person was using not anything that, no substances or drugs or anything like that, but they were using sacred geometry to get into the minds of people and to plant seeds of influence for whatever their agenda was. They thought they were working for the Galactic Federation, and they were not. There was some type of entity they were communicating with. And there were people that came to me and said, I can feel this person, so-and-so, in my mind. I can feel them. They're there. One girl, she was like, this so-and-so was messing with my energy, messing with my money energy, because this is someone who was very good at manifesting money. Messing with my money energy. I'm not manifesting. It's something, I can feel them in my brain. I can feel them in my mind. I can feel them. And so I wasn't as in tune with self at that time as I am now. But even so, my gift, so to speak, was not the type of gift that they had as it relates to how to work with energy in the way that these other people were. For me, it was always traveling, out-of-body experiences. Yeah, I have clairvoyant and clairaudient tendencies, but that wasn't always as powerful as the traveling that I do. So it took me a little while before I realized, oh my goodness, this person is doing this for real, because I had an experience outside of my body with the spirit of this individual several times. I've also been warned by friends in other places, in other dimensions, telling me about this individual, but they said it's not that individual's energy. It's another energy. It's not them. And this is somebody who was very popular in the so-called conscious community, whatever that is, because quite honestly, you have to be extremely careful with these folks in the so-called conscious. I keep saying so-called conscious community, because what are they conscious of? If you're truly conscious of self and on a very deep level, you're going to be about love, and you're not going to be using people like this and try to siphon their energy for whatever your agenda is. There's a lot of that going on, seriously. So again, be very careful on who you deal with when it comes to substances, sacred geometry, or anything dealing with the brain, the mind, getting into an altered state of consciousness, including people who use sound frequencies. There's types of music and sound frequencies that you can listen to with your headphones on, and it's supposed to help you get into an altered state and things of that nature. You got to be careful with those people too, because their energy is in the sound. There are folks out here, just do your due diligence is all I'm saying. Do your due diligence, because it's not about going to them for everything. It's about you learning how to go within yourself and emanating a love frequency. Okay, ultimately. These external tools are great, especially if you're getting it from someone who really cares about people. They're great to use as tools, as crutches, but at some point, work on going within yourself. Now, briefly, I just want to talk about mental health, because if you've experienced any type of trauma within your life, and that is what triggered your out-of-body experiences, it's very important that you go to a professional who can assist you with the trauma, because your body, your etheric body, and the aspect of you that's permeating this physical body will indeed leave if it feels as if it can't take too much more of this, what's going on in this third dimension when you experience something very, very heavily traumatic. So that is a whole other thing, all right? So I want to be very clear that if you feel like you want to hurt yourself or do harm to yourself, something very traumatic happened to you, and that is what triggered the out-of-body experiences, please seek professional help immediately. A therapist, a psychologist, someone that deals with the mind that can help you, okay? Now, outside of that, to recap, if you're having spontaneous out-of-body experiences that weren't triggered by trauma, do not worry about not coming back into your body and you not being able to find your way back and all of that, because your OBEs, again, are round trips. You're going to come back. This is what you naturally do. You're just now aware that you naturally do this, that there's different aspects of you that are having these experiences all the time. Again, the only difference between before and now is that you're aware of it, so you don't have to worry about not coming back. If you take any external substances, any psychedelics of any kind, be very careful on who you get that from, especially when you already have an open pineal gland or an active pineal gland, an open third eye or first eye. Be very careful about who you get your sound frequency from. If you listen to music or any type of sound frequencies to get into the theta states and so on and so forth, be very careful who you get sacred geometric symbols from. Anything that's supposed to get you into an altered state of consciousness. Just do your due diligence. Check in with yourself first. Check in with your essence so that you'll have the discernment to know, should you go and do this or not? Pay very close attention to when you have your out-of-body experiences, when you meet your guides, guardians, and friends in other realms. They can assist you. You can ask them about these people or whoever program that you're thinking about getting into and all of that. Let them assist you, and listen to them. I didn't listen. I was warned about an individual and I did not listen, okay? But that was a great experience because it allowed me to discover other things. So all the experiences that I've had where I'm like, why didn't I just listen to my higher self? I'm glad that I actually had the opposite experience and knowing, okay, this is what I need to do. I keep getting back on my path. Now I had enough of being hard-headed, and I pay attention to my higher self. I pay attention to my friends in other realms. When they warn me, I pay attention. So I'm saying to you, pay attention to your inner world and your friends in that world. Check in with self before you do things in this reality that can alter anything with your mind or with the brain. All right? If you have any questions about anything that I've said, go to askvernita.com. Ask me your question. I'll respond to you. Anything that you send to me comes directly to me. And anything that I send out is coming from me, not an assistant. It is me. All right? With that said, many blessings to you. Much love, and I'll see you next week.